there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it, and big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Scott Roeder, the crime scene reconstruction expert out of Ohio who runs the Evidence Room as well as a podcast called the Crime Scene Time Machine. This week he completed a initial draft of a new report where he lists the various hypotheses on how the aliens who were in the Las Vegas backyard of the Kenmore family in 2023, how they were able to cloak themselves, how they were able to make themselves invisible, and he has these hypotheses listed in this new report. Also, in addition to that, he issues a call to action to the scientific community to get more involved in this case because he thinks there's no question about it as far as he's concerned that this incident most certainly happened, and it's time for the scientific community to get off its ass and get involved in this case and to either look at it, study it the same way that him and his team studied it and were able to make a determination over a year ago now. Over a year ago was actually April 2nd of last year of 2024 when we did that Vindication Day episode, and he basically laid out how the evidence at that point showed without a doubt that there were creatures in that yard using some sort of cloaking technology, and there's no doubt about it. It proved that story actually from 2023 proved that we are not alone. There's no question about it now, despite the fact that there are still people out there, debunkers, that say otherwise, even though they offer no critical analysis whatsoever other than just nasty words in the direction of this evidence without doing any sort of research themselves. That's because they're just liars and deceivers. That's what they are when it comes to this subject for whatever reason. I don't know if they're deceiving themselves or the public on purpose. I really don't know what their game is. I'm not going to sit here. I don't even care, actually, because all I know is that we had the evidence for a long time now, and now Scott Roeder has taken it to another level. And I was talking to him about this report today on the phone, and he really hasn't made. He's not someone who's making money on this. This is not his day job. He's someone who investigates crime scenes for police officers, for police, for law enforcement agencies, for people who are being charged with murder. For both sides, he helps try to determine what really happened in murder crime scenes. That's what he does, and then he testifies in court. This guy's an expert. He's been doing it for over 30 years. He's a video analysis expert. He's been doing that for 30 years, and he made the determination, him along with experts on his team, made the determination that there were creatures in that backyard in 2023 during the late hours of April 30th and the early morning hours of May 1st. And now he has this report, and it's also not only a report that features various hypotheses on how these creatures were able to cloak themselves, how they're able to do that, but also as a call to action. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. But today I'm just going to go over some of the report. I'll play some video, some segments from the video from the famous 1 minute and 41 second cell phone footage as I'm going through this, and we'll stop and talk about some of the things. And Scott is going to come on the show at a different time. He's also planning, he told me that he's going to have Harvard's Avi Loeb on his show, his crime scene Time Machine podcast to talk about these things as well at some point in the future, near future here. But he will be coming on my show too soon to talk about this new report that he put together. Now there are just so everyone's aware, there's just a couple of minor typos and things like that he's going to fix later on, and but I'll mention them so you'll know what I'm talking about when we come across them. Not a big issue at all. The report itself is solid, and there's no debate anymore. I mean, it's just the bottom line. There's no debate. It's over. It's been over for a long time. Just because a lot of other big names in the UFO community aren't talking about this like they should be, that means nothing. Or maybe I don't know. I guess they all have their own agendas. Everyone has their own agenda, right? My agenda on this podcast, right, is get people in this world knowledgeable about the reality that we're not alone, and we have the absolute proof here that we've been showing for a long time now, for well over a year, showing people this absolute proof on this channel, because I think the whole world deserves to know that we're not alone here. It's not just us. It's not just the human race, folks. That's the bottom line here. Anyway, let's get to the report. He actually called. Now, this is going to be, before I even go on, another thing I just want to mention. This is an addition to a different report that he did last year when he initially put a report out about this. This is going to be in addition to that. So that's what this is, except this time he's offering hypotheses on the cloaking tech. Anyway, he calls it "They Were Here and We Have the Evidence," and that is a great title because that's absolutely the truth. Anyway, here it's new investigation by Scott Roeder, crime scene reconstruction expert, part 2. On the night of April 30th, May 1st, 2023, something landed in a Las Vegas backyard. It wasn't a trick of the light, a hallucination, or a hoax. It was real, captured on body cam, filmed by eyewitnesses, and now forensically validated. And of course, what he's talking about here is what happened on the night of April 30th, 2023 in Las Vegas. Well, of course, something came down from the sky. It was a blue and green object. A lot of people thought it was a meteor, but as we know now, there's no possible chance that it was a meteor. It was some sort of a craft. And when it came down eventually to the Kenmore's backyard and made a hard landing, it became totally invisible. Two witnesses, Angel Kenmore and two teenagers, the two brothers, Angel Kenmore and his brother Joshua, were working on their father's truck close to midnight, about 10 minutes to midnight on April 30th when this thing came down in their backyard. And then instantly it became invisible. It was cloaked. They couldn't see it. It was all blurry, according to Angel Kenmore. Right, and then the next thing you know, there was they witnessed two 8 to 10 foot tall entities, non-human entities, right, running around their backyard. They get their mom and dad. They tell them what's going on. The dad and the two sons are armed. They try to go back in the backyard while the mother's filming it with their cell phone camera. They get chased back out of the yard because one of the creatures comes after them, and then they keep filming for a little bit, and then they call the police. The police show up. The police they see the fear in the faces of these people. They investigate, and a lot of this is on video. So now there's some body cam footage from that investigation that we still don't have in public yet, but maybe someday we will. It doesn't really matter as far as I'm concerned. I would love to see it, but we already have all the evidence right now that we need to prove. We already were able to prove that there were creatures, non-human intelligent creatures in that backyard that night. But anyway, that's basically the story. So now what he was able to do last year was they were able to validate it forensically. And he says this in his report. It says, "What I, along with many others in our loosely connected band of misfit researchers, found is nothing short of groundbreaking. Entities partially cloaked, exhibiting technology and behavior beyond any fully known explanation. For years, the USS Nimitz Tic Tac UAP encounter has stood as the gold standard of unexplained aerial encounters. It had radar, video, pilot testimony, but no close-range visual of the entities themselves. The Las Vegas case does. This is not just a blurry light in the sky. This is feet on the ground, eyes on the being evidence, a structured, intelligently responding, possibly biomechanical presence, recorded, analyzed, and made available for peer review. This isn't speculation. This is physical footage, expert breakdown, and corroborated witness testimony, and yet the scientific community has largely remained silent. That ends now. Sincerely, Scott Roeder." Then he here has a call to action. "We are calling on aerospace engineers, optical physicists, electromagnetic warfare analysts, biologists, video forensics experts, and independent researchers across all disciplines to come, look, analyze, challenge, and build. The Las Vegas 2023 encounter is more than just a viral moment. It is a data-rich, testable, and historic opportunity for serious multidisciplinary collaboration." And then he talks about the Tic Tac a little bit. He actually compares, just want to stop there for a second, he actually compares the Tic Tac incident with the Las Vegas incident later on in this report as well. and some of the things that were on display with regard to the Tic Tac incident. He goes on in his report here. He says, the Tic Tac had the Pentagon, Las Vegas has the people. Let's give this the attention it deserves. Let's bring it into the light. And now a brief summary of what we have previously uncovered. The Las Vegas alien encounter of April 30th / May 1st, 2023. And then he has an overview here and key details, a lot of different, he has quite a few pictures scattered throughout his report here as well from that event. It says here, in April 2023, the Kenmore family from Las Vegas reported a close encounter with what they described as extraterrestrial beings in their backyard. The incident gained widespread attention due to accompanying video footage and subsequent analyses. And some of the key details. The initial sighting. A bright, unexplained light streaked across the sky, observed by at least 21 individuals across California, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. And I just want to stop there for a second. And as we all know, there was one witness from Arizona who said when the object went down, the two UFOs appeared in the area went down, and those two UFOs were moving back and forth, disappearing and then reappearing, and they were doing that for at least an hour. And that was reported to the American Meteor Society. I'd just like to point that out, too. And then he says here, the family's account. Angel Kenmore, a teenager, reported seeing a tall, skinny creature with greenish skin, approximately 8 to 10 feet tall, hiding behind a forklift in their backyard. And then there was a 911 call. The family contacted emergency services, and responding officers' body cams captured the family's reactions and descriptions of the sighting. And then there was a video analysis. Forensics expert Scott Roeder analyzed the family's video footage frame by frame, identifying what he believes are two beings using some form of cloaking technology. Yes, that's what he was able to initially uncover when he began his investigation, actually shortly right after the month. I think it was the month after the incident. Yes, in June of 2023, and he came on this show and he was able to show proof of evidence of what looked like something chasing them out of the yard. You could see the movement of this creature, and then it was chasing them out of the yard. It wasn't until April of last year of 2024 when actually it was March of 2024 when it started. There was one of my subscribers, Julia June from New York, contacted me to tell me, hey, there's a head above the fence. So I did a video about this head that appears above the fence as they were getting chased out of the yard. Scott Roeder and his team looked at that, and it was from there. That was when they were able to prove that there was something there. There was no question that there was something in the yard, and that the video was not manipulated in any way. There was no CGI or anything added afterward. There's no question that there was something in the yard, according to the experts. Anyway, continuing. Illustrations, it says here, the Kenmore family provided drawings depicting the beings they encountered. Tall, slender figures with elongated limbs, large oval-shaped heads with prominent eyes, antenna-like structures protruding from the head area. And then here, the aftermath. There was paranormal activity. Following the incident, the Kenmore family reported experiencing unexplained phenomena in their home, including objects moving on their own and religious symbols behaving unusually. Then there was media coverage. The case received extensive media attention, with various experts and skeptics analyzing the footage and testimonies. But I just want to stop there. Unfortunately, the media didn't just keep with this for some reason. News Nation reported it on some of this stuff here and there since that incident happened, but they've been pretty quiet with it since. I don't think they did I don't think they're doing the world a great service here by not talking about this case, by only bringing it up as a quick 10-minute segment one night and then not talk about it for ever since. And then on top of it, but I will give News Nation credit. They did go to unlike a lot of other news outlets, at least they did try to interview the family, and they did get some stuff there, that some good information out of there, but they haven't been covering it as much as they should be. Nobody really has. I thought Fox News did a really good job on their digital platform. There was a guy, Chris Eberhard, a reporter, who was in contact with Scott Roeder and myself, and he ran several articles on this online. However, though, it's still not. It was never enough. I mean, you're talking about the biggest story of all time here that shows we are not alone. There's absolutely no question about it, and nobody else is really making a big deal about it. They don't want to for some reason. I know there's a lot of things going on in the world, right? Especially right now. It seems like we're just getting bombarded with all kinds of news every minute of the day, right? But to me, the idea that we're just pretending that this proof isn't there is just stupid. I mean, at this point, it's out there in the public right now, and the mainstream news should have latched on to this more so than they did. It's unfortunate, it really is. Anyway, continuing here with his report, he says, evaluating potential cloaking technology in the Las Vegas alien case. This is where he gets into his new hypotheses. Context of the encounter. Of course, he says the claim here, there were two non-human entities observed after a bright light fell from the sky. Family video footage appeared to show briefly visible creatures using an unknown form of cloaking or light manipulation. And so here's one of his theories here. We hypothesize that the beings used a type of active optical cloaking, a technology that 1. Captures light from behind the object, 2. Projects it in real time to the observer's side, 3. Bends and processes background light to maintain transparency from multiple angles. In talking with Roeder on the phone about this, he explained it like this, like it would be like the way water flows around a rock in a stream. Basically, what you're seeing with the that's the same principle here. What he's describing, basically, it's like, you're looking at something, but they're hidden behind the light wave. Light's getting bent the same way that the water gets bent around a rock when it flows past the rock, and that's why it's hard to see. And then it talks about key indicators in the footage supporting cloaking hypothesis. There was 1, frame-by-frame visual displacement. Frames showed subtle shimmer and light warping in a localized area, including light distortion. Motion tracking reveals disturbances in background consistency, suggestive of an active projection or masking field. Partial visibility at rest, that's number 2 here. When the entities are still, a partial silhouette or outline appears. This suggests cloaking effectiveness degrades under low motion, similar to imperfect invisibility systems in development today. I just want to stop there real quick. That would be true if you look at the head of the tall creature who appears above the fence. For that one, there was only very quick. You could see the face when it stopped. When it was moving, you don't know really what you're seeing. It looks like it's smoke, but then it stops. It looks like it was actually moving around on roller skates when you watch that video. It was very unnatural the way these creatures are able to move. I think I think they have more than just. I don't think that creature was using its legs apparently to move. I think it's possible that creature might have been floating somehow and able, because I don't see how anything could stop on a dime the way that creature appears to stop on a dime in that video when it reaches the edge of the fence right before the gate. Yeah, and again, this is just one of his theories that he has listed in here on what's going on here. And you have to also, just before I continue here, now he's focusing on the two entities that he saw initially here. There was a lot of other creatures we found later on, of course, including the one that I like to call the undeniable backbreaker, or UB for short, the little gray, that the family didn't even know all the number of creatures that were in the yard that night. They had no idea. The only hint to that was when that object first landed. Angel said he heard what sounded like thousands of footsteps running off in all different directions, right? So that means I believe that there could have been way more than those two tall ones. Obviously, there were. We see the evidence of that. We see that short alien gray UB that appears, in addition to other creatures too. There's a lot of different faces and entities that are appearing and disappearing, materializing and dematerializing throughout that whole 1 minute and 41 second video. Anyway, getting back to the report here. Okay, number 3, environmental interaction, shadowing, and obstruction. In several frames, foliage bends or lighting changes subtly near the invisible region, implying physical presence. Number 4, color bleed and frame ghosting. Instance of color halos and pixel lag, common side effects of real-time image processing. And then he has a hypothetical technical breakdown of the cloaking system. And he has the component descriptions first for each of them. Smart surface membrane, which is a semi-permeable outer layer embedded with micro lenses or quantum dots capable of refracting light dynamically. So this is basically how they're able to make themselves invisible during this incident. Internal AI-like the possible. All of this is theory, right? We don't really know, but this is the theory that he came up with. Internal AI-like processor. It interprets observer angles, background light, and environmental conditions to adjust surface display in real time. And then a light field sensor grid, it surrounds the entity's body to record the full spectrum of incoming and outgoing light from 360-degree angles. And then another thing here, projection emission layer. It projects an image of the environment behind the being in perfect spatial alignment. And then he talks about comparative examples from human tech. Metamaterials research at Duke University and University of Rochester demonstrates limited scale cloaking at microwave and visible wavelengths. Invisibility cloaks using lenticular lenses or nanotechnology only work from narrow viewing angles or require fixed light conditions. And then military-grade adaptive camouflage exists in prototypes but lacks fluid motion concealment, unlike what's observed in the video. And then he actually had a little addendum to this as well that he sent me on his cell phone earlier today. He goes on here. He says, the military has been working on cloaking technologies that manipulate electromagnetic waves. For example, there's a coating that can absorb or direct these waves around objects, making them invisible to certain frequencies. The Army also developed a pliable electromagnetic skin that can enhance, block, absorb, or bend radiation, improving stealth capabilities. These innovations are likely being explored by private military contractors. So I just want to throw that a little addendum in there as well that he provided me earlier today. Okay, moving on to the next section here. Scientific summary and future evaluation framework. Conclusion. The cloaking effect in the Las Vegas footage appears to use a form of real-time background adaptive light displacement, far more advanced than any known Earth-based system. And the next steps for analysis. Number 1, color spectrum frame isolation, which would involve evaluating if light manipulation varies in IR, UV, or near visible spectrums. Number 2, vector tracking. Analyze pixel displacement across the cloaked region to measure active projection error. 3, sound layer interference. Determine if acoustic anomalies correspond to visual anomalies. And then number 4, thermal overlay comparison. Cross-reference with thermal or infrared if possible. And then later on in the report, he has a bar chart. He says here, this bar chart compares infrared sensitivity and electromagnetic interference susceptibility across 4 common types of cameras. Thermal IR cameras are the most sensitive to heat and the least likely to be disrupted by electromagnetic fields, making them the best tools for detecting cloaked heat-emitting entities. Body cams are highly susceptible to electromagnetic interference and have low IR sensitivity, explaining why they might show pixel artifacts or distortions when a cloaked object is nearby. Smartphones, like those in the Las Vegas backyard, have moderate susceptibility and low infrared sensitivity, explaining why visual anomalies might appear only partially or with frame lag. And then night vision amplifies ambient light but may miss heat signatures entirely. And then next he says, I'll generate a visual comparison of what a cloaked figure might look like on different camera outputs, visible light, infrared, and disrupted digital. And then he has this picture, which I used for my thumbnail here. This is what a creature that's using cloaking technology that's working right here on the left, the far left here. That's what it would look like. Would you be barely visible, or maybe impossible to see, particularly at night, apparently. And then the second one would be what it would look like under infrared. And then the third image here to the far right is what the creatures would look like when there's electromagnetic interference. Now, I just want to also point out that I'll leave a copy of this. I'll leave a link so you could check out a copy of this initial report from Rotor. I'll leave it in the description so you can check it out for yourself as well. And again, I just want to point out there were a couple of mistakes. There was a part where it was where he had the same thing twice. Again, he's just this is just the first initial draft, so just to keep that in mind. Okay, and he talks about the we're going to go through the next section here. Number 1, visual cloaking from the naked eye. The beings or craft were reportedly invisible to witnesses standing only a few feet away, despite a direct line of sight. Hypothetical cloaking mechanism, metamaterial-based light bending. Metamaterials are engineered at the nano or micro scale to have a negative refractive index. This allows them to bend electromagnetic waves, including visible light, around an object, effectively making it invisible. Think of it as water flowing around a rock. The object diverts light so that it flows around the being and reconverges behind it, making it appear as if nothing is there. And what are the possible effects? A person looking directly at the being wouldn't see it, but might feel a distortion, shimmer, or momentary sense of visual anomaly. Some reports describe a blur. Light might also be absorbed rather than reflected, creating a black hole visual effect in extreme cases like dead pixels in the natural world. And then number 2, distorted pixelation on video footage. Video from the scene, particularly body cams and cell phone footage, showed strange blurring or degradation near where the entities were reportedly standing. The hypothetical explanation, active camouflage plus electromagnetic interference. This suggests not just passive light bending, but an active cloaking field, which would work like this: field emission cloaking. The craft or being emits a localized electromagnetic field that interferes with CMOS or CCD sensors in digital cameras. These sensors are sensitive to specific electromagnetic ranges. If the field causes interference or overload, the pixels in those zones may 1. Become noisy, i.e. speckled with artifacts, blur out, drop in resolution, or completely black out depending on intensity. In forensic video analysis, this can resemble frame corruption, motion-based compression anomalies, especially under poor lighting or fast movement, and sudden shifts in white balance or digital focus around the entity. Yes, and that seems like all of that kind of thing was on display in that 1 minute and 41 second long video. That's most certainly there was corruption and things going on. I mean, there was some weird smoke that you would see sometimes. What was that all about? That shouldn't have been there. There was a lot of things in that video that should not have been there, but were there. Anyway, additionally, some cloaking fields may use adaptive background projection, essentially displaying the live feed of the background on the surface of the object. In real time, this causes delay or flicker in camera sensors that cannot process the adaptive projection accurately. Pixel mismatches due to parallax error from camera angle versus human eye. And then he has here a combined theoretical framework, hybrid cloaking system. Number 1, passive metamaterial shell, bends visible light around the entity for human invisibility. 2, active electromagnetic field modulator that disrupts digital camera sensors and suppresses clean pixel capture. 3, acoustic dampening layer, which is something that he's saying is possible here. Could be possible. It may also mute or distort sound waves, contributing to the eerie silence some witnesses report in close proximity. Yes, sometimes people talk about a strange, everything's like all of a sudden there's no sound. Like people out and about camping or something, they might hear crickets or or birds or whatever, and next thing you know, everything gets silent, and then they have a UFO encounter. There's lots of reports like that. And then here he has a bonus theory, quantum coherence cloaking. Some speculative physics proposes a quantum coherence field where the entity briefly shifts out of phase with our space-time. This might explain visual absence, electromagnetic interference, lack of shadow or heat signature. But this crosses into exotic technology well beyond human capability and would require massive energy input. When a UFO is only visible in the infrared spectrum and not in visible light or radar, it raises key questions about the nature of the object. Here are several possibilities of what each might indicate about the physicality of the object. Number 1, it is a physical object emitting heat. And the evidence, if the object gives off a strong infrared signature but no visible light, it's likely emitting heat, possibly from propulsion or energy output. The implication, it's physical but may be cloaked in visible light, e.g. using metamaterials or plasma-based cloaking. And then he has here some military UAP footage, like the famous FLIR 1 video from the Nimitz incident, shows heat signatures without visible confirmation. Number 2, it is a physical object with low reflectivity. Some objects absorb or diffuse visible light very efficiently, especially if coated with radar-absorbing material. The implication, it could be a stealth craft, human or non-human, optimized to evade detection. Modern stealth aircraft use similar technology to be hard to see in both radar and visible spectrums, but may show up in infrared. Number 3, it's a projection or field distortion, which would be non-physical. If there's no radar return, no visible reflection, and the infrared signature fluctuates unusually, it could be a kind of plasma field, energy anomaly, or even a holographic projection. Not a solid. The implication here is not a solid object in the conventional sense, but it could be an energetic phenomenon or something deliberately manipulating our sensors. Some theories propose that certain UAP are interdimensional or employ technologies that interact with space-time or perception in non-classical ways. Then he has here number 4, atmospheric or sensor artifact. If the object only shows up on a single infrared sensor and no other systems pick it up, it could be a glitch, reflection, or camera calibration issue. The implication is it's not a real object at all. Debunkers often argue that some sightings are due to heat reflections from engines, flares, or birds that show up oddly in infrared. And here he has tests. And before we go on, I just want to talk about what he was saying here earlier. When he was talking about the physical object emitting heat, what's interesting here, when I was on the phone with him a couple days ago, or I think it was a few days ago or last week, he was talking about this a little bit before I saw the report, and basically, and I did bring this up in a different episode. So the reason we see the object in the Vegas case is because apparently they were having this is all hypothesis. The reason we see that craft in the Vegas case with our naked eye is because the craft was having some sort of issue and it needed to make an emergency landing. And the reason you couldn't see it under infrared was because it was cold. It was coming down. There wasn't nothing. It wasn't heating, and that's the reason that explains why you could see it then. Because if the object wasn't working properly, that means it wasn't able to cloak itself apparently. In a lot of other cases, we talk about them all the time. I mean, I think in that case that Jeremy Corbell, where he had that recent footage, the Navy footage from off the coast of California, that object you can't see it with the naked eye, but you can see it under infrared. And that means the craft was working, right? And it was cloaking itself to the naked eye, but under infrared you could see it. So that's the hypothesis why you're able to see the object in the Vegas incident. Now, of course, people wonder, including myself, okay, sometimes people just see these UFOs flying, sometimes they see them landing. So I don't know, for some reason it seems like the aliens shut off the cloaking for reasons unknown at times when it doesn't seem like they need to. But there was one story, I remember I talked about some story, I think it was from the 2000, or I think it was from the year 2000 in the UK, where there was some old guy walking his dog and he's looking out over this empty field where nobody was around, and all of a sudden this craft just appeared, right? Like it was invisible. The cloaking went off. But it's making that to me what Roeder presents here right now. A lot of it's technical. He tried to write it for so the layman could understand it. And yeah, some of it is still technical, and some of it might go over some of our heads. But to me, right, this sounds reasonable. I mean, he's just all it is hypotheses. That's all this is. That's all he's laying out here. Anyway, continuing with this, then the next part here is a test to determine physicality. Number 1, radar cross-section. If radar detects it, it's more likely solid. Number 2, thermal signature consistency. If it moves and the thermal signature changes in response to acceleration, it's likely an object. 3, multi-sensor correlation. If visible, infrared, radar, and eyewitnesses all pick it up. Strong evidence of physical presence. And then number 4, interaction with environment. Displacement of air, sonic booms, electromagnetic interference, or water disturbances, if near oceans, strongly suggest a solid form. And then he provides an incident summary for the 2004 Nimitz case. That's the one involving David Fravor and company when they saw the Tic Tac object. And the hypothesis here is the Nimitz Tic Tac as a transmedium drone utilizing advanced inertial control and optical cloaking. So number 1, physical. So basically, it's not just he's not only providing a hypothesis on the Vegas stuff. He's talking about also here on how the Nimitz craft was able to make itself invisible. It says here, physical composition hypothesis. The Tic Tac UAP is a transmedium drone, air, sea, space capable, likely composed of metamaterials for electromagnetic transparency or stealth, plasma shielding or ionized outer shell to reduce radar cross-section and create light distortion. And then number two here, propulsion mechanism, propelled by a non-Newtonian field-based system, possibly a warp bubble or gravity distortion field, or advanced inertial mass cancellation, reducing effective mass and enabling extreme G-force maneuvers without biological constraints. Number three, cloaking mechanism, light bending cloaking system, real-time adaptation to background environments via AI-driven projection on surface or metamaterial skin. It disrupts both visible spectrum and IR tracking and explains limited FLIR visuals and pilot confusion. Number four, behavioral characteristics, non-aggressive but responsive, reacts to pilot proximity, possibly analyzing threat behavior, curiosity-based or programmed reconnaissance, hovering near sea surface may indicate observation of marine activity or United States Navy operations. Instantaneous displacement suggests either interdimensional phase shifting or quantum entangled navigation with displacement rather than traversal. And then 5, supporting data. FLIR 1 video confirms there's no thermal signature of propulsion. Radar logs from the USS Princeton confirm impossible acceleration and position changes. Pilot testimony affirms intelligent control, immediate responsiveness, and absence of wings, exhaust, or sound. The conclusion, this hypothesis proposes that the Tic Tac is an intelligently controlled aerial system, likely non-human in origin, that demonstrates advanced propulsion beyond current human capability, employs light and electromagnetic distortion technology, exhibits behavior consistent with observation or reconnaissance, operates with transmedium capability, challenging our concepts of airspace and physics. And then he has a big giant part here to end off this report where he compares the Nimitz with Las Vegas. And he thinks the Las Vegas incident is more convincing, actually. That the Las Vegas incident provides the absolute proof, as we've been talking about. But he does compare some of the things that happen in both of those cases. And then he offers a conclusion here on these cases. He says, while the Nimitz incident benefits from higher level military validation and broader media uptake, the Las Vegas encounter includes comparable direct evidence, multiple first-hand witnesses, sensor-confirmed anomalies, behavioral intelligence, signs of cloaking or manipulations of light and electromagnetic fields. Thus, both cases exhibit multi-source corroboration. Technological characteristics beyond known human capabilities, both cases have that, and scientific anomalies worthy of dedicated multidisciplinary investigation. And then he has like another chart here under that where it has it compares some of the different the equivalence assessment that he makes on each of the cases. He provides one aspect, like for instance, in the first one here, sensor evidence, the category is sensor evidence. For the USS Nimitz case from 2004, it says multiple radar systems, FLIR camera footage, pilot visual. That's the sensor evidence for that case. But then for the Las Vegas encounter in 2023, there was stationary infrared footage, body cam, the body cam footage, the cell phone footage, and the witness visual account. And then he has an assessment, the equivalence assessment. Both involve video and multi-source sensor data. And then he also concluded that both have credible in-situation witnesses. And then for the physical characteristics of the entity, well, for the Nimitz case, all you have is the craft. You're looking at the craft. We got so that's all we have there. But for the Vegas case, you have the 8 to 10 foot tall non-human entities that were described. Both involve, and then the assessment is both involve non-human characteristics and cloaking mechanisms. So there's a lot of different things here where you could compare those two cases. Even though in the Tic Tac case, you don't have visual of the pilots. Alien pilots. In the Vegas case, you have that. Not only do we get to see the object, coming down from the sky before it makes that hard landing. But then we also get to see what the occupants of that object look like, the numerous occupants. In fact, the video, as that was examined over time, you were able to find more than just what the family said they saw. There were more creatures in there than the witnesses told us were there. They didn't know. They didn't realize, because obviously they were all cloaking themselves, and the only ones that they seemed to see were two of the 8 to 10 foot tall ones. They didn't talk about the little creatures that were later discovered in there, or the multitude of creatures that are discovered throughout that whole backyard, it seems. And then there's another section here like motion/behavior observed. In the Nimitz case, instantaneous acceleration, stationary, then sudden displacement, observed hovering at sea. In the Vegas case, observed descent in backyard, one entity seen hiding or moving behind forklift equipment. The equivalence assessment is both display intelligence, evasion, and calm presence. Yeah, they don't seem to be too much worried about us, these creatures. They can handle us. They really could. And then another section here, technology signature. In the Tic Tac Nimitz case, no heat signature despite rapid movement, no sonic boom or visible propulsion. In the Vegas case, pixel interference and visual cloaking, possibly manipulating electromagnetic field visible on. And both cases show evidence of propulsionless movement and cloaking. And it goes on like that. So anyway, I just want to, I'm not going to read this entire thing here because there's a lot to it, and I would suggest if you're interested in this, again, this is just an early draft of it. It will be cleaned up a little bit before he's complete with it, before it's completed. But it is there for your perusal, and Scott Roeder believes that the scientific community needs to take the Las Vegas case more seriously. Of course, everyone out there knows that I believe that wholeheartedly myself, and I've been saying that on the show for a long time now. And I think that this is what else? I mean, we're trying. That's all you could say. I mean, what else could you do? You just got to keep talking about it, keep trying to alert the world to the reality that we're not alone and that there's something here with us, and we don't know what they're up to. We don't know what their game is. I know a lot of people tell us stories and stuff like that. All I could tell you is this: there's something here. What they're really doing, I can't say for sure. I just know that there's something here based on my own experiences, based on the evidence that has been accumulated to this point, not just these cases we're talking about, but all the different cases, all the different reports over the decades. And it's time for the scientific community to really start taking this seriously. They really need to take a look at this case. This should not have been just stuffed away like, it really wasn't that much. There's nothing there. A lot of people say, I don't see anything. Well, no, there's stuff there, folks. Despite what some debunker or skeptic might tell you, just because they don't want to look at it, or they don't want to admit to it, or they want to lie to you for their own reasons, or they have an agenda or whatever, there's something in that video, and the totality of the evidence proves beyond any doubt whatsoever that we are not alone in this universe. There's no question about it. There's something here with us. Anyway, there'll be more on this. I'm sure that Roeder will be coming on the show pretty soon to go over to talk about this more. But I just wanted to present it here tonight, to give it a introduction, since it's something else to think about. Again, he has different hypotheses listed in here on how these creatures are able to cloak themselves, and maybe someday we'll get to test it. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll have some other scientists who come up with other things to talk about with regard to this case. Well, I just want to say this. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.